Okay, today we are playing a game on Volsky Industries. We are in the Diamond SR range, and we will be playing about half the game as Symmetra and about half the game as Mei. We are also on the console today, so consider yourself forewarned. With special guest, my son, for probably like 5 minutes until he gets bored and leaves. But until then, here he is. Or, well, the upper part of his head at least. So anyway, let's just start the game. So as we can see, we're up to no good right at the start of the round, just trying to get some cheeky damage in at the start, and hey, we didn't get punished, which means we don't have to learn anything, which is great. Potential to get punished, but we didn't get punished, so that's nice. We've got all our turrets up around on the traditional spot around the choke point, so that's great. Generally, when we're playing Symmetra, we do want our turrets to be in the most awkward place for the enemy to break, which almost always means above and behind whatever they're trying to walk through, and that will usually result in the greatest inconvenience to them possible. And, oh, Jesus, Hansa. Ooh, he didn't like that one very much. Just got yoinked right up into the sky. So we were trying to control the high ground there. Unfortunately, you know, as Symmetra, we're not necessarily the best at controlling the high ground. I'm not sure. I guess, is this the new Symmetra? Nope, there goes the teleporter. Alright. But of course it's not. This video was sent to me like almost 2 weeks ago at this point. Of course it's not the new Symmetra, you fool. So, anyway. We started to get pushed back now. They have to push through this, like, narrow, channel at us right here, so that's convenient for us. We can just kind of, like, spam into the area. Not exactly the best place for Arissa to put her bongo, and she died, and yet somehow the bongo manages to survive for this length of time. Isn't that absolutely incredible? There he goes. Goodbye, my son. Now I can adjust the table slightly. There we go. He's very fat. I can't actually, like, put my tray in while he's there. So, anyway, we started dying. Oh, how terrible. I mean, things were not exactly going well up until this point. That turret on top is a little bit unfortunate right there. Yeah, most of our team is just kind of fucked at this point. So, we decided to use our ultimate here, and, I wouldn't. We do give it a good old college try right here, but I wouldn't go for it. It's, It doesn't look completely untenable, to be fair. There aren't actually that many people around at the time, but given the massive spawn advantage that the bad men have over us right here, I wouldn't go for it, especially given how badly the fight had been going for so long at that point. There is a question related to that in the email, but I've kind of spoiled the answer to that question already, which was... I didn't want to do that. I'd rather just give up on it and save the ultimate for this fight instead. And this is an issue that I know I have when playing this game, is that I am often too willing to give up on things where I'm just like, I could fight over it, but why bother? It's pretty fucking gone. Like, I'd rather just save the resources to use on the next fight instead. But, yeah, I wouldn't have gone for that one. No. Man, isn't it nice having some subtitles? Isn't that great? Now you can just know if someone uses their ultimate without me having to tell you about it, because I don't put the sound in. Mostly just for ease of video editing afterwards. So here come the bad men. Roadhog's using his ultimate, and he's been nano-boosted, so that's all in all quite terrible for us. The Rudy Tooty Whizbang Shooty nano-boosted does a whole fuckload of damage. Conveniently, we were up out of the way, so we got to survive, but it's not exactly looking good, is it? It's not exactly looking good. So, even if we had our ultimate for this fight, it wouldn't have necessarily made a huge amount of difference, because here's a fun fact for you about Roadhog's ultimate, right? Symmetra's ultimate's got 5,000 health. Roadhog's ult does 4,964 damage. It does a really weird amount of damage, but it is just shy of 5,000 damage. So Roadhog can already break Symmetra's ult kind of just by himself. So nano boosted, it's no problem at all. So even if we had it for that fight, there's no guarantee that it would have actually made much difference, given Roadhog used his ultimate there and got nano boosted. We've managed to still fend the enemy team off regardless. Oh god. Oh. So that's cool. And now we have our ultimate, so we'll get to use it for the next fight, without fear of hopefully it getting just wrecked by Roadhog immediately, right at the start, which would be fairly terrible. And we've put all our turrets up around the gate, coming over checking the flank. Oh, nobody's coming around. Alright, back around to the front. Got our turrets kind of spread out. We did have two over like right next to each other a second ago, and one of them got broken. But we want to... Oh, we're going for the turret bomb now. Usually you want to keep your turrets, like, spread out so that hopefully the enemy team can't just, like, come around the corner and go, click, they're all gone. But you still want them in, like, inconvenient locations. And now we're just going to sit back and, like, spam into the area. We've got two turrets built up. We don't have full turrets out right now. We've only got one turret out right now. Deciding to put them a little bit further back now. Yeah, I'd rather have, like, another one up near the front, to be honest, just to, like, make it a little bit harder to get through the choke point. Because ideally, from my money, we stop them from ever even getting to this perspective, to this point, right? Because if we're playing, like, a big zoning area denial team, as we are right now, like, if they get onto the point, things are already kind of going, like, not great for us, because ideally, by the time they get here, they're already fucked up enough that we can just jump down and deal with it, right? So I'd rather put them, like, more up and around these locations, like here, if they're coming through the front, if they're gonna come around the side, you know, up around here, up around there, right as they come through. I'd rather have them further up, just because if they if they're further up, we can just, like, hopefully replace them as the ones that are further up get broken, thereby getting to benefit from both. But I'd just rather they be more fucked up by the point they get to this point. Just make it more difficult to get to the point to begin with, rather than doubling down on protecting the point, really. Now, unfortunately with Volskaya is that the turrets are not necessarily that hard to deal with when you get through the choke point, sadly. Just the nature of the map, but... I'd rather make the approach more hostile rather than the point itself more hostile, because hopefully if we've done our job properly, they will already be having a bad time when they arrive, if they arrive to begin with. So we go for the turret bomb again right here, and we pop out as well. There are some bad men over here with hard crowd control, so we do have to be careful about going for that kind of maneuver, because that can happen. And hey, we got flanked by Hanzo. I didn't know Hanzo was coming. Did we see Hanzo break off at any point during this? Well, first, can we see Hanzo? Hanzo's over there right now. So, did we see Hanzo break off? He's going over to the right-hand side now. Can no longer see Hanzo. Nope, Hanzo is gone at this point. Even when we come over here, we don't actually see Hanzo. Okay, so... yeah, I don't think it's super realistic to expect someone to have noticed this happening, necessarily, because a lot of people were in there at the time. And I am sitting here, going back, and being like, alright, now I see him going off over there. I don't think it's necessarily very realistic for most people to have figured out he was going to do that, but it wouldn't... At the same time, it's not, like, impossible to have figured out either. He broke off, and then we never saw him again. So, he can only really be having, like, one plan, really, but... you know, I had to go back and be specifically looking at him the entire time to notice it, so it would have been harder to notice in the game, given we were dealing with other things at the time as well. So we've changed to Mei now, you may have noticed. We are trying to stall the point now. Oh, here's the Tracer. Is she going to try and Pulse Bomb us? No. I don't think she's been Tracer long enough to build up Pulse Bomb, to be honest with you. So, oh. Ah! Happens to the best of us. I've played a lot of Mei, and that is the worst, when you try to wall off the Bob, and you just put the Bob on the wall. I've done it. I've done that. I've been playing a lot of Mei lately. It's been great. Basically, all of the previous season, I basically just played nothing but Mei through. Got like a 60% win ratio. It's pretty sick, but the plan this season is to play a lot of Sigma instead, because he's the new tank, so gotta try and figure that one out, especially now that roll queue's in. Very easy. I've only got to beat one person to Sigma. Haha, very nice. So, anyway, they've got to rush in now just to touch the point, because they've run out of time, and we get to just bully them as they start coming in. Unfortunately, also for them, their supports were some of the only ones around at the time, so their supports had to run on to touch the point ahead of everybody else. So now everybody else arriving after this point is going to have an even harder time surviving. Damn, I don't think we didn't get the credit in the game for killing the Ash. How sad. Just barely. And so now it's time for us to attack, and you might notice that, well, there isn't a whole lot of time left on this attacking round, is there? In fact, there's, oh no, they reduced it to 3 minutes, didn't they? Right. We could theoretically still lose. So... Oh, no, it's still 4 minutes here. Never mind, disregard. Wait, no, it's the extension. Is it the extension that was 3 minutes? I thought it was both parts that were 3 minutes now. Never mind. Anyway, so yeah, I guess mathematically we can't lose anymore. Ah, well. I mean, it went pretty well in the defending round for the most part. Oh, no, where are they? Okay, alright, that's the traditional, spot to stand. Understand, I was like... I didn't even really notice that we just walked through the point without having to fight, to be honest with you. Yeah, and then we're just like, oh, where are they? We actually saw them right there, but we're still looking like, oh, where are they? Are they in there? Nope, they were up there. We did actually see them, but we just didn't notice at the time. And then we wall them off. We're playing Mei. Torbjorn's the first one to come down to contest us. Not the best one to come down first to contest us, but, you know, oh... Found Moira off by herself, so we get to kill her. Mercy came down to res Torbjorn. Hey, what if we just kill Torbjorn again, though, yo? It's all going pretty well. Wall just came up. We got Bastion over the wall. That's ideal. Roadhog didn't hook him. How very sad, but that is the idea, to wall the Bastion over the shield so that the Roadhog can hook him. And even though he didn't get hooked, like... Bastion still died as a result of us doing that, so it still all works out in the end regardless, even if Roadhog didn't do it. Because Bastion doesn't want to just sit on top of the wall in front of the shield, right? Like, he wants to be behind the shield, so it's good enough by itself a lot of the time. Especially if the Bastion panics. So we've almost got Blizzard built up now. We had a pretty resounding success on that first checkpoint, so we're going to be coming in with the ult advantage here as well. Orissa's dead, Roadhog's dead. Where is their Bastion at this point? We haven't really seen him. He might... Oh, no, they've got a Hanzo and McCree now. Yeah, okay. So, that's where Bastion went. Away. Yeah, you know... They didn't know how to defend particularly well, did they? Here comes Hammond. Honestly, might as well have just chucked... Yeah, as soon as he starts spinning around the point, might as well chuck the Blizzard on, to be honest. I would have done it a little bit sooner, but we did it in a difference of, like, not even 5 seconds, so... Hey, look at that. A resounding success for us. So there are a few questions in the email that we'll come over and talk to, because we didn't really learn much from watching that video, did we? Moral of the story would just be, like... I would prefer to put the turrets a little bit further up, and that was basically it. So, in the emails, we got... At 2:51, I used my ult to see if I could just clear it out on my own. Was this plan too far-fetched? I was still hoping to stall long enough for my team to reinforce, but should I have saved it instead? We already talked about this at the time. Yeah, I would have just saved it instead. It didn't look completely untenable, to be fair. Like, it might have worked out. It's possible that if we just executed a little bit better mechanically, we might have been able to pull it off, but I don't really go in for, like, trying for that kind of play, to be honest. I'm almost always on the side of, I'd rather just save it for having a better chance on the next fight instead. Number 2 is Mei a good fit and or counter to bunker comp? One of the easiest ways to deal with the Bastion specifically is with the Mei Roadhog, because you wall the Bastion, Bastion's exposed, kill the Bastion. Mei is, and just building up Mei's ult, that's going to make the bunker move. Mei is good at protecting the bunker as well, because it makes it even harder to push in. Mei's still got, like, decent range, because right-click's really good, so... Yeah, Mei is good with and against a bunker comp. Honestly, Mei is good in, like, quite a lot of situations now. The only thing she can't really deal with is, like, double sniper, but even then, like... I've hit that Widowmaker in the head from far enough away and killed her. Like, it's worked out still, but yeah, Mei is good in and against bunker. 3, all in all, I feel like my Symmetra was pretty lacking. What could I have done differently? So, I mean, It's a little bit harder on Volskaya because the choke points aren't quite as strict, which makes it a little bit harder for Sim, because she, being an area denial hero, the more confined the area is, the better she tends to be. Like, she doesn't get as much value on Volskaya as compared to, like, Hanamura, for example, because Hanamura's got, like, a much stricter choke. Same for, like, Paris as well, right, where you can just kind of set the turrets up around the choke point in inconvenient locations, and then just spam orbs into it. It's a little bit harder on Volskaya. Like, overall, like, I feel like first checkpoint, a lot of our teammates kind of got picked off. I don't feel like we necessarily could have done much to change the outcome of that one, really. Second checkpoint, pretty much I would have just, like, positioned the turrets a little bit differently at that one point, but other than that, like, you know, it's like, in an ideal world, you get to go up and, like, laser people to death as well, but most of the time you don't really get to do that, especially versus, like, some bunker comps, for example, right? So it's like, a lot of playing Symmetra is, like, just putting turrets in inconvenient places, and then spamming orbs into areas, sometimes going for the turret bombs to, like, get a big bunch of damage into their backline or something. And then, like, picking the right time to, like, jump in and capitalize and, like, you know, run in and start, like, lasering people and, like, just throwing balls at them point blank. But, overall, like, I don't feel like there was that much we could have done differently in this game. I feel like we were pretty much playing Symmetra for the most part. It's just that Symmetra doesn't get quite as much value on the slightly more open approaches like Volskaya has, because, like, Volskaya's choke point on the the first checkpoint, not a very good choke point, like, pretty bad choke point as far as they go. Second checkpoint, walking through the door, like, it's not that hard to break the turrets before you get through the doorway at all, especially if you want to, like, go up the elevator on the side, you can, like, break them before you come in. Like, you can, Symmetra doesn't get so much value out of these, points. Their team wasn't, super convenient for us to, like, use the wall against either, especially, like, the Roadhog just being able to break it and all. Like, I feel like for the most part we pretty much played Symmetra. I don't feel like there was a whole lot we could have done differently in this particular game, to be honest with you. Because Symmetra's got a pretty straightforward game plan overall. Put turrets in awkward places, throw balls, and then, you know, area denial. Like, all of the, like, you know, all the heroes that kind of go into the old defense tree, right? They all kind of do the same thing, really, where they put something down somewhere to, like, make an area annoying to pass through, and then they just kind of spam into the area, right? Like, Torbjorn puts his turret down to make it hard to go through the area, and then he spams into the area. Bastion puts himself down and spams into the area. Mei puts her wall down to make things inconvenient for people, and then just spams into the area, right? Junkrat puts his trap down and spams into the area. Symmetra's the same deal. She puts her turrets down and then spams into the area, and then you try and capitalize on the opportunities you see therein, where, you know, you get the opportunity for a big engage, somebody gets out of position, you get, like, a real juicy shot in there on the Mercy, and then you go for, you know, stuff like that. And we didn't really get a whole lot of those opportunities, so yeah, I feel like we pretty much played Symmetra about as well as we could have done, given the circumstances. And last is, what do you think of my stats at the end? And comments on anything else I missed would be awesome. So the stats, go forward a little bit. For Symmetra, the damage is, we weren't playing Symmetra for that long, I suppose, because this 13-minute video, we changed off Symmetra at, like, 6 minutes, like, a minute and a half. It's low, damage-wise, given the amount of time we were playing her, but it's just, like, given how badly the .1 defense went, and then we didn't really see them very much for .2, outside of, like, when we got wiped that one time, you know. Like, the damage is low, but to be honest, like, given the way the game went, I can't imagine it being too much higher at the same time. What about for Mei? Oh, no. Do we not see the Mei side? Mei side, there we go. I mean, Mei's damage is always going to be kind of bad. That's Mei's thing. 16 eliminations, though. Like, that's about on track for Mei. That's pretty good, given that we were only playing Mei for, like, 5 minutes. Towards the end as well. Like, that's pretty good. Mei's always going to have low damage. Like, anytime that Mei has gold damage, something went pretty wrong. Symmetra and Mei don't exactly tear up the damage stats either way. Like, I'm saying Symmetra's is kind of low, but at the same time, if everything, like, given how long we were playing Symmetra, unless we had an absolutely outstanding performance in the game, I would only expect it to be, like, 5k, 6k, given how it went. They're not really, you know, they're never gonna compete in terms of, like, damage output to people like McCree or Junkrat, right? They're always gonna output more damage. It's more like Symmetra and Mei are bad at doing damage, but they're very good at killing people, which is the more important thing. And, like, kind of an important thing is our objective kills and objective time. We had gold objective kills and objective time, despite not playing tanks. So you can look at that and say we were doing our job even without the damage, because that indicates we were controlling the space, right? Because that's the thing that Symmetra and Mei are good at, is controlling space. So you can look at objective kills and time and go, hey, those are pretty good, right? Like, we had gold in both, despite not being the tank, so that indicates we were controlling the space around the point well. Because, you know, if they got to the point, we killed them, you know, we contested the point, which is not exactly hard to do with Mei, like, especially once you start, like, stalling it out like we were towards the end, necessarily, but those are, like, objective time and objective kills are kind of like, lol, who cares stats, right? People only ever look at the healing, eliminations of the damage done, but if you're playing a zone denial hero, like Mei and Symmetra, those are kind of important. So, objective kills, objective times, yeah. And eliminations, it's good. It's fine. Most of the eliminations came from the Mei side, specifically, and our attack round was pretty, like, lol, get fucked, right? So that helps, but overall the stats are, like, fine. The damage is, like, a little bit low, but given the length of the game, I wouldn't expect it to ever, like, for the whole game, I wouldn't have ever expected it to be more than, like, 7 or 8, unless something went absolutely incredibly well for us, because the heroes we were playing aren't, like, high damage heroes. So that was the only question in the emails. Yeah, thanks again, and I hope you have a lovely day/evening. I hope you have a lovely day/evening as well. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you felt I answered your questions from the email inadequately, please let me know, and I will try to expand further. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. I start streaming on Twitch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 p.m. EST till midnight EST. There's a link to the channel in the description. And if you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future. And I hope you found the video helpful.